Is the Logitech G29 still the best wheel to start off with? Well, let's have a look at it. What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back to the game department. Today we're going to be looking at the Logitech G29 racing wheel. Now, I've had this wheel for a couple of months and it has absolutely ignited a love for sim racing that I didn't really know I had. But before we jump into what I think, I want to talk about this little wheel for a second. So if you Google racing wheels for beginners, or best wheel to start off sim racing, or best cheap wheel to start off with, this is what comes up. No matter where you check on forums, YouTube videos, all sorts of different opinions, the Logitech G29 is the one that comes up the most. So surely, it must be pretty good. Now, obviously this wheel is on the cheaper side, but I want to go through some specs and talk about the good things and the bad things that come with getting a cheaper wheel. So one of the first features that I want to talk about with the G29 is it does have a 900 degree of rotation, which means the wheel will turn in 900 degrees, locking on the left and right hand side, which is great if you're doing things like drifting, if you're doing stuff where you need that full 900 degree rotation. It's amazing. And to get that out of a cheap wheel, schmick. Now this wheel is a gear-driven wheel, which means the force feedback that you feel is done through a gear system. There are more expensive wheels that do it through belts or through a direct drive. This one being the cheaper of the bunch, it is going to use a gear system. Have I had any issues with the gear system? Absolutely not. Would I suggest going better for a beginner? Probably not. The gear-driven system has been fantastic. The force feedback feels good. It doesn't feel clunky. Will that wear over time faster than a belt-driven wheel or a direct-driven wheel? I can't answer that for certain, but I'm going to assume yes. The wheel itself is also covered in this nice hand-stitched leather, and the shifter paddles on either side are made of a brushed steel. Also a fun little fact that I don't know if people really care about, but on the front of the wheel itself, it looks like a race car. I like that. Good job, Logitech. Looking at the underside of the wheel, you'll see the clamping system, as well as the interface where all your little attachments go. This here is a cable, which is a USB cable that is already connected to the wheel. You can't disconnect that and remove that. It's permanently fixed. Not that big of a deal, but it does have these nice little channels down the bottom where you can slot the cabling through and it locks into place so you can work out where you want your cables to be. Inside this little cavity as well, you have a little space here for your pedals to connect, as well as a power source. These can go around this top little clip and then slide into and hold into your little cable management system here to keep everything nice and neat and stop any tension that's going to be on any of the pins. On the underside of the wheel as well, you do have these little mounting screws, so you can actually mount this whole system to a sim rig, to a cockpit, or any sort of system that you have where mounting is an option. Now let's have a look at the clamping system. So the clamps underneath sit underneath the wheel, and we're spinning these little knobs on the top. It loosens or tightens the grip between each of these clamps. Once you've tightened it up to your desk, these pins then push and lock in, so they're out of the way, and there's no chance of you hitting it with your hands as you're turning your wheel doing some sick drifts. Now moving to the front of the wheel, you can see all the buttons that come with the G29. Now there are two different variations of this wheel. You have the Logitech G29 and the Logitech G920. The G29 is compatible with PlayStation systems as well as a PC, whereas the G920 is compatible with PC and Xbox. In saying that, you can see here the interface is very PlayStation-esque. It's a little bit different on the Xbox version. You have the PlayStation buttons on the bottom, as well as all the keys that are laid out in the PlayStation theme. So moving on, I want to talk about what you get in the box when you open up this wheel for the first time. You obviously get the wheel, you get your pedal set, and you also get a power supply to power everything. So let's quickly move on to the pedals. Now the pedals are obviously a standard sort of layout. You have your throttle, you have your brake pedal, and you have your clutch pedal. Now looking at these straight away, they are very different in the way of feel. The throttle is the freest moving, the clutch has a little bit more resistance, and then the brake has much more resistance. There is also a rubber stopper in the back of the brake pedal, so when you're really hammering down doing F1 driving or any other sort of race driving where you really need to apply a hard brake pressure, there's a little rubber stopper in the back here just to give you a little bit more of a realistic feel. So if we look at the underside of the pedal deck here, nothing crazy, but there is a little carpet holder here. So if you pull this tab, it'll release the carpet grip. These spikes help grip the carpet and keep the pedal deck in a pretty stationary position. To put that one away, you just want to push it in until you hear a click, and it's all done. Away you go, your fingers aren't gonna get sporked. Now the pedal system itself doesn't take any power. The only power supply that's required goes straight into the pedal.
You stupid.
There is one cable on the back of this pedal deck, which has this tiny little attachment here. And as I mentioned before, it goes to the underside of the wheel, through the little channel, and away you go. Now with this wheel, as I said before, you do have the option of purchasing a H shifter. It's called the Logitech Driving Force Shifter. It connects to the wheel exactly the same as the pedal does. It doesn't require power. The clamps are exactly the same as the wheel, but it is about $80 Australian. Not that much of an expense to get because you can use manual shifting with these paddles on the back, but if you really want that H shifter vibe, An $80 spend, not that bad. So as I said before, the G29 can connect to PC as well as PlayStations. It does have a switch on the top of the wheel here for a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4, but it is compatible with the PlayStation 5, is what Logitech have specified on their website. Logitech have a trend of bringing out a new wheel for every new generation of consoles. Now that we have the PlayStation 5 as well as the new gen consoles, are Logitech going to bring out a new wheel? The answer to that is potentially. I don't really have the answer, but maybe. If they do, what that means is this might come down in price, making it a little bit more affordable and a little bit easier to get your hands on, which is fantastic. So what do I think of the Logitech G29? In my personal opinion, if you're getting into sim racing or you want a cheap wheel to be a little bit more immersed in your driving games without spending thousands of dollars, this is the best decision. I have used this wheel for about 100 hours in the last couple of months, and it's amazing. It hasn't missed a beat. It connects to my PC first time every time without any issues. Clamped to my desk, it holds up perfectly fine, and with a little bit of added software, I can make this wheel control all of my multimedia, so I can change songs in Spotify, pause the music, make the music louder, and I can assign different functions to buttons that I'm not using in-game. So that software is Joystick. I'll leave a link to that in the description below if you want to check that one out. It's been super helpful for me. If you do need any help with it, please let me know. I'm very happy to help you out as best as I can. But overall, I 100% suggest this. There are a couple of things that you need to be aware of. So with a wheel like this, it's an all-in-one system. The pedals connect to just this wheel. You can't use these pedals on a different steering wheel. You can't use the shifter on a different steering wheel. You're committing to this ecosystem. For the price that it cost, totally not that big of a deal, but just keep that in mind. If you want to upgrade your shifter, upgrade your pedals, anything like that in the future, you might be looking at getting a different wheel. I'm going to leave a link to the wheel and the shifter in the description below. If you want to check them out, please feel free to. They will be Amazon affiliate links. Doesn't cost you any extra, but if you do want to pick one up, it definitely helps out the channel. If you have one of these wheels or you're looking at getting one of these wheels, leave me a comment below. I'd love to have a conversation about it and find out your opinion. If you like this video, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe. I post videos every week. You might like them. If you want to see us use this wheel and do some VR drifting, we stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, twitch.tv/The Game Department. You should 100% check it out. You might even have some fun. If Discord's more your vibe and you want to join a great community of people, we talk about games. We talk about memes. We talk about how Elon Musk is probably going to end up taking over the world. So if you want a piece of that action, I'll leave a link to the server below. If you want to find us on any other social media, like TikTok, like Twitter, like Instagram, search The Game Department. It's exactly the same as it is below. You'll find us everywhere. Other than that, I'm going to leave you to it. I hope you had a good morning. I hope you have a good night. Bye.